Good day, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Business Casual. I'm your host, the RJB0. So today, I am responding to the feedback that is telling me to make more deck profiles, which I am happy to oblige to do, especially since so many of my fans really want me to do it. So in a fit of nostalgia, I figure it is high time for me to give you guys the post-September 2013 version of the deck I brought to Nationals. It's my soul deck, it's Thunder Family. It allowed me to top my first regionals in order to go to my first Nationals and get a 4-3-1, which I think was a decent record. I'm kicking myself because I didn't realize until very recently that you could request a feature match, and the people at the judge table that were taking deck lists seemed really interested in my deck list. I probably could have gotten a feature match, but you know what, c'est la vie. So this deck is going to look a lot like my Nationals deck, mostly because this format is basically a powered-down version of last format. So let's get down to my Thunder Family deck profile. First, of course, you have that triple Thunder Seahorse. Absolutely necessary to the deck, allows you to set up all of your plays, and it's just awesome. It operates under macro, under D-Fissure, all sorts of fun things come out of this card. The only issue I have with it is that it's a little bit slow. So against dragons, I side out 2 of them during the game 2. Because while it does give you more advantage, dragons are always going to beat you as far as resources, no matter what. So you have to beat them in speed, and Thunder Seahorse definitely does not do that. So I sided out for things like Goes and Match and Vanity's Emptiness. Moving on, the thing that makes people's heads explode is my Thunder Family lineup, also known as 3 Maw Hunters, 2 Paw Hunters. The conventional wisdom for this deck is that you run 3 Maw Hunter, 3 Paw Hunter, and 2 Sis Hunter. I don't run Sis Hunter because of a card that it interferes with that's really central to this deck, and I have another engine that in my opinion is better than Sis Hunter. Sis Hunter is a good card, but well, you'll understand why I don't run it. I don't run the 3 Paw Hunter because I think that it gets cloggy, and these cards, if you don't have other monsters to work with besides just them, run you out of resources really quickly. So I'd rather have other cards in here that, you know, are less vulnerable to Veiler and actually give me more resources, as opposed to these cards which just run me out of resources, are vulnerable to Veiler. And these, of course, these cards are important. They make all your plays, but I'd rather not have them be cloggy in my hand. Then, those of you guys who know me well know that in my personal opinion, my humblest of opinion, the Watt engine is the only engine to work with for this deck. You can run Sis Hunter as well as the Watt engine, but if you're not running the Watt engine, you're going to be in trouble. This is just my humble opinion, of course. So I've got that 3 Watt Cobra. Watt Cobra can be searched out with Thunder Seahorse. Even if you don't search it out with Thunder Seahorse, you can use it even with during the turn that you use Thunder Seahorse to gain that +2 during that turn. It can attack under opponent's monsters. It gains resources. It gives you pluses, which allows you to make Xyz plays basically for free. The Watt engine allows you to deal damage to your opponent early game, so that once you get that, once you get a little bit of an edge over them, you can beat them more quickly, which means they're less likely to recover from your plays. So Watt Cobra is really good. It also searches out your Watt Giraffe. I'm considering running 2 of this card just because it's so amazing. It makes your Xyz plays unstoppable. Against Evil Swarms, this card is death for them. Because if you put this on the board with a Thunder Family monster, or one of the other cards that I'm about to show you in a moment, they basically can't stop you from making a Paladynamo and taking out their Ophion. It ends the game. If your opponent has 2,000 or fewer life points, you basically win the game with this card because you put a Paw Hunter or Maw Hunter on the board, you summon this card, you attack directly with it, your opponent can't do anything, you overlay for Gaga Cowboy, and you win the game. So Watt engine, OP. I am considering taking out one card that I'll show you in a second to put in that second Watt Giraffe. Then you have the obligatory double Vylon Prism. I do side the third. I'm not going to be showing you guys a side deck today, mostly because I don't have one well developed yet. Vylon Prism wins you games against Dragon Rulers if you put on, you know, because you can summon Crimson Blader with it. If you attach it to a Thought Ruler against Evil Swarms, once again, you basically win the game because their only out to it is like Mirror Force or something like that. So this card is pretty amazing. Then the other choice, another choice that makes people's heads explode, is the 3 Photon Thrasher. Now this seems really counterintuitive since I said that the Thunder family monsters clog without gaining you advantage, and this definitely does not give you an advantage. The primary thing that this card does that the Thunder family monsters can't do is A, get rid of Ryo, and B, it is immune to Effect Veiler, which is a big issue for this deck, because if your opponent Effect Veilers your Hunter monster, well, you're done. But they can't Effect Veiler a Photon Thrasher, so it allows you to make your plays without that fear of Veiler, and it adds speed to the deck, since if you don't open with your Thunder family monsters, you can open with this guy, and you can start beating your opponent upside the head. If you don't gain any other monsters, he's a beater, which is really nice. He's a 2100 beater, which allows you to deal damage, allows you to take out monsters. So he's just got a lot of advantage. The only problem with him is that you can't search him with Thunder Seahorse or recycle him with recycling batteries. Then I run Double Maxi, because it can force your opponent to stop their plays if they're playing dragons or mermails or something, and if they don't stop their plays, it's even better. As long as they can't OTK, you're still probably going to win the game. I realize that this isn't actually a Maxi. I traded my other one last night, right before I decided to make this deck profile. Then we've got double recycling batteries for the spell lineup. This card is basically your grind game. It's really good. It allows you to basically, you activate it to summon a rank 8 or a level 8 synchro monster with an extra 1000 attack if you've got Prism in the Grave. Amazing card. Double MST, I've been going back and forth between this and Lance because I really like Lance. It really helps out with the Thought Ruler plays against Mirror Force. But this card stops Vanity's Emptiness, which is a really bad card for your opponent to have against this deck. So I chose that over Lance. Then I've got Double Forbidden Chalice over Veilers. Veiler is nice to be able to open with, but it doesn't stop your opponent's monster's effects during your turn, which against Constellars is not so hot because they can go Pollux and Kaus and then go for Pleiades. And if you didn't open with that Veiler, they're sitting on a Pleiades. If you top deck a Veiler, you're in trouble. You're still going to lose your plays. If you top deck a Forbidden Chalice, you have plays to make. The other great thing about Forbidden Chalice and its ability to be used during your turn is the fact that if you open with this card, a Photon Thrasher and a Violon Prism against dragons, even if they open up with Dragasack, you can still probably win the game against them. Because what you can do is you can summon that Photon Thrasher and they won't do anything, and you can summon that Violon Prism, they won't do anything because they think they're protected with Dragasack. You could Synchro for Crimson Blader and they'll think you're a dumbass because you can't run over the Dragasack. So when you enter the battle phase, they won't Veiler that Crimson Blader, and since it's got 1000 extra attack, this extra 400 attack points that you give to your opponent's Dragasack isn't going to help them that much, and you attack their Dragasack, then during the damage step you hit them with the Forbidden Chalice to stop their plays. I don't like Breakthrough Skill mostly because A, you can't use it during the damage step, and you can't use it during the turn you draw it. Then you've got Double Messenger of Peace, which is a great card. It got me to my top at Regionals. I may take it out for a couple of other things. I'm not sure what those are yet, but it does draw those MSTs away from other cards, and you can use it. You can use Watt monsters to attack directly beneath it, so it's pretty good. Then you've got one Rhoda. It adds speed to those Photon Thrashers. I might take this out for the second Watt Giraffe. I don't think that the Thrashers need any extra speed, and I'd rather have another Watt Giraffe to be able to get rid of recycling batteries and stop my opponent's plays than to be trying to fish out my Photon Thrashers. Then for the trap lineup, you've got Double Threatening Roar. It protects your Watt Cobras. If you use it with a Watt Cobra on the board, it pays for itself because then Watt Cobra gains extra advantage. There are just a lot of ways that this card can really help you in this deck. And it's also, it's an OTK stopper, a lot of things. Then you've got your main play stop. You've got your one-ofs, Mirror Force, Bottomless, Tori, Compulsory, Solemn Warning. They're pretty much self-explanatory. They stop your opponent's plays, and you can use them at good times to make devastating plays. You got Double Fiendish Chain to stop things like Spellbook Magician and World of Prophecy, and various other cards, stop them from attacking. And the only issue with it is that it doesn't stop things like Dragasack from sacking themselves to take out a card on the board. Then, the card that makes me win Game 1. The main deck, Triple Imperial Iron Ball. This is the main reason why I'm not using Sys Hunter right now, just because this card is so good Game 1. and it's counterproductive with Sis Hunter in the game, or in the deck at least. It wins you game one against dragons. It wins you game one against spellbooks. It's still pretty good against Mermail since they can't use Sacred Sword of 7 Stars or Title, even though they do side deck it a lot of the time. It's still decent against them game one. It isn't dead against them game one. It can still get you some pretty good plays. And it's also decent against decks like Constellar and Evil Swarms because they have their various banishy plays, and it's also decent against the Mirror Match because it stops Sis Hunter. So that triple Imperial Iron Wall wins game one, which is a huge advantage for this deck because it means your opponent has an uphill battle to fight starting from the very beginning. So that's the main deck. I'll run really quickly through the extra deck. Your Xyz monsters, Cowboy ends games. The Thunderspark Dragon gets you over Master of Blades, which is a bitch against this deck. Black Ship of Corn gets rid of problem cards, ends games. Constellar Mega is good against Evil Swarms. If you can protect it from Ophion and stuff like that, it's really hard for them to stop it. Abyss Dweller is good against Tidal Mermails, and sometimes against Dragons and a couple of Rogue decks. You've got Maestroke, which is just generally a good card. Your double Starleech Paladynamo, you always got to run it. It takes out Dragossack, it takes out Ophion, and then allows you to draw a card when your opponent gets rid of it, so it's a really great card. And then you've got one Diamond Dire Wolf, which I got for $10 on a whim at Nationals, because, I don't know, why not? And then the level 8 Synchros. Of course, you have to run double Crimson Blader for this deck, because you can recycle your Vylon Prisms to make another Crimson Blader, but you can't recycle the Crimson Bladers themselves, and this card's just devastating against Dragons and Tidal Mermails. Then you've got one Stardust Dragon, just because it's Stardust. Stardust is better in a slower format, and it's even better if you have it with an extra 1,000 attack points. You've got Scrap Dragon, which is good with your Vylon Prism. And then you've got Thought Ruler, which wins you games against Evil Swarms. And then this card, which looks like a Star Eater because it is, that I'm trying to decide whether I want to make it an Avenging Parshath, which operates under Gozen Match and wins games against Mecha Phantom Beast tokens because they're in defense mode. They have 0 defense, and you make it with a Vylon Prism, and it's got Piercing, and you deal 3,600 to your opponent for game. Or a Vylon Epsilon, which is basically Scrap Dragon that you can use under Gozen Match. So that is the deck. I hope you guys like it. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, let me know why, and then subscribe for more Thunder Family and other Yu-Gi-Oh! Shenanigans. Meanwhile, thank you guys for watching Yu-Gi-Oh! and Business Casual, and I'm your host, the RJB0, and I got a jet. See ya, guys.